ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today's lesson is on Surat Ar-Ra'd. Ar-Ra'd, right? Okay, so we're going to start this poem. It says, an alif, lam, mim, ra. So it's alif, lam, mim, ra comes opening this great surah. You guys had a week to memorize this, right? So you memorized it, right? Yes?
I'll finish this week, inshallah.
Okay.
Because I was behind, so I from the behind I memorized another one.
Okay. As grumbling, thunder, here goes cracks. Okay, I know the paper says claps, it's cracks. Correct that. Describe the sounds that Ra'dun packs. Let's start right here because we don't have as much room to write. Okay? But I'm going to read the rest of it and we're going to try to go through it piece by piece. It goes like this. It says an alif, lam, mim, ra comes opening this great surah. As grumbling, rumbling thunder cracks, describe the sounds that Ra'dun packs. What did we learn from these two lines? What are we trying to learn here?
The meaning.
The tafseer, the explanation, to get a summary, a general understanding about which surah? Surat Ar-Ra'd. So, in trying to understand Surat Ar-Ra'd, there are 5 things we want to know about Surat Ar-Ra'd, right? What are the 5 things? From whence it came. So, where did it come from? Okay. What else? Its length. How many ayat, right? How many ayat? Its length and name. Its name is in 2 parts. That's one part is in English, and one part is in Arabic. What else do we want to learn? Its placement, which means what? What number surah is it, right? Yeah. Number surah. Okay, and then what's the next, the 5th thing? Just what does it claim? What does that mean? What is this surah about? Okay, what is this surah about? Surah generally, right? Because it's a beginner's tafseer. And in a beginner's tafseer, you're not going to learn everything in detail. First you learn generally, and then you get more and more familiar with that. So each one of these poems basically tells us, not basically, tells us these 5 things. So we have to find them in this poem. We don't have to find them. I'm going to point them out to you, inshaAllah ta'ala. So this one starts with saying, an alif, lam, mim, ra comes opening this great surah. What does that tell us?
The alif, lam, mim, ra is starting.
Right, so that this surah is one of the surahs that start off with letters, right? And the letters that start off this surah is alif, lam, mim, ra. Okay? So we have to understand it. I'm going to let you know that it's in between a bunch of alif, lam, ra surahs. And it's the only one in between those that comes alif, lam, mim, ra. Okay? So automatically we know the opening of this surah. Then the next line says, as grumbling, rumblings, thunder cracks. What is that? Describe the sounds that Ra'dun packs. What did we learn from this?
General meaning is coming.
So we have the name in English, which is thunder, right? And not only that, the author described what thunder sounds. It grumbles in the sky, it rumbles, then it cracks, right? And that describes the sound that Ra'dun, which is the name of the surah, Ra'dun, packs. Okay? So that's two things we know automatically about this surah. Let me get this board away, please, and we'll go on. The next line says, 13th in line, 13th in place. 13th in line, 13th in place. I'm sorry, everybody has to bring a mushaf from now on. You have to have a Quran translation in English, Urdu, Bengali, whatever you have, bring it from now on. Because when I'm mentioning these things to you, wa alaikumus-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When I'm mentioning these things to you, I want you to be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay? So if there's an English translation, pass it over to the ladies. If there's an Arabic one, pass it over to the ladies, a Bengali, everyone that they need over there. And then the rest of them, the brothers, figure it out. Okay? But the 13th in line, 13th in place, I want you to understand it. Give me one of those too. Thank you. Because it's always a little wet. Jazakumullah khair. 13th in line. I shouldn't write it that way. Thirteenth in line, 13th in place. What does this line mean? This line means, if you look in your mushaf, Surat Ar-Ra'd is the 13th surah. Turn to the 13th surah, and you look at the 13th ayah, and you will find that it mentions Ra'd in that ayah. It mentions thunder. The ulama say this surah gets its name from the 13th ayah. And it also, not just so happens, it's also the 13th surah. So he put it here, 13th in line, 13th in place. This is the 13th surah. Okay, we can put here, the number is surah number 13. Okay? A double mention of it so you won't forget it. 13th in line, 13th in place. What's the next line? Allah won't change a people's case till first they change what's in themselves. Okay? Here we have a rule. It says Allah won't change a people's case till first they change what's in themselves. What is this mentioning? This comes from a famous ayah. Again, in this poem, the author wants to mention things that people are familiar with or need to be familiar with, or that will help them become more familiar with this surah. Don't we always hear people saying Allah won't change a situation, what's in a people's situation till first they change themselves? You know, we say this. That ayah is in this surah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah says in the Quran, in this surah. Okay? Well, no, we're going to get to that in the tafsir part later. But I want you to know that we hear this ayah, or we hear the mention of this statement, this is an ayah, lots of times. So it's put in this poem for you to know that that's where it came from. It came from this surah. Okay? This is the surah that has that ayah in it. Okay? To help you remember. Then it goes, and we'll talk about what it means later. Okay? Examples sent to gauge, change the spelling on your paper, ourselves. I think I saw it and it looked like it wasn't correct. Right. From Mecca, some, Medinan claim.